Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's Inspiring Leadership podcast. And I am delighted to be with Dorje at Dorje's Resort and Spa near Pokhara in Nepal. This is an unusual one. It's almost like a unique event. And my wife Lee and I are out here doing some work for the Inspiring Leadership Foundation. She's been meeting with some very special people who she connected with on the charity. We've also been with our good friend General Himalaya Thapa, who introduced us to Dorje, and they go back a long way to when he was commanding his unit here in Pokhara, and he'd go and spend his time playing pool at the restaurant that Dorje ran. Anyway, welcome, and great to have you on the Inspiring Leadership podcast.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you very much, and it's great being in your country. So tell us a little bit about the resort and spa. You've had it open how long now?
We are running on a 2.5 years.
Yeah. And you did the planning of this during the pandemic. That must have been really quite hard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. And we didn't know what was coming up, future.
Yeah.
And when we started, after 6 months, pandemic happened.
Wow. No, that really hit the travel industry. But you've produced a place that it's a 5-star hotel. There's no doubt about it. And Lee and I have stayed in many places in different parts of the world, but there's something about, I think, the feng shui, the feel of the place, from the elegant ceilings to the lovely rooms. We got a room with incredible view, and we're down by the pool. How did you sort of get the feel and the design for this hotel and spa?
Thank you. I have a long story to tell, but first, I'm in a restaurant business for last 35 years, 40 years, and tourism business, and I always dream of building a hotel, but I didn't really know what kind of hotel we are going to build or resort. But my family number one goal is to connect with the people.
Yeah.
We want to know more about tourism. What is tourism? Because everybody talk about tourism, especially being in Nepal, growing up in the village, coming to a small town, now become a big town, big city. So the goal is to connect with the tourism. That's now Dorje's. This is where we end up.
Yeah. Well, I think the kind of leaders that we have in 125 countries around the world listening to this podcast will really value a place like this. I mean, we've used it to not only do some charity work from here, and I just come back from a trek, but also it's great to work from here. So actually, they talk about digital nomads. These are people who, they can work from anywhere, but actually to come to a place like this with the spa, and both of us have had the benefit of these incredible massages that we had with your team in the spa. You can have the benefits of relaxing, because we do need downtime. But also you can work from here because the Wi-Fi is very good. That's the thing that struck me, just the quality of the environment. It makes you rejuvenate, but it's a good place to work. Do you find that that's what people like about it?
Yeah, our main goal here is number one is greenery, and giving comfort, whatever we can give the best, being in Nepal. Mm-hmm. Being in location, this is like a city village, so we are not in the city, but we are not also in the village. So our goal is to keep the best in terms of Wi-Fi, spa, any comfort where other country, like we look up to Indonesia, Bali, we heard about Maldives and other countries, and Nepal, they have some beautiful properties, but also we are trying our best, especially the last 35 years, what we have experienced down in Lakeside.
Yeah. Well, I think you got that lovely combination between great setting, the quality of the rooms, and the place is lovely. You just relax immediately you come in. But also it's the warmth of the reception of you and your staff, and also great food. To have a good quality chef is really important. You want to have good quality food, and it's top end. We were talking before about the fact you train these people up, and then they will leave and they'll go and work in Spain or Portugal or Dubai. But what was your view about developing leaders that they might leave? Tell us your story. We were talking about that.
Well, my inner goal or my inner wish is, if my, we have a theory, we are different from European and other modern country. Uh, the change here is very new. So my thoughts on this one is, wherever my people go, the young chef, young girls, anybody who leave the country, I want them to live with the knowledge, know-how, whatever they can. So I've been teaching for last 35 years. I'm also learning by doing myself. But sometimes the teaching style and learning style here is a little bit different from Western world, or even some part of the modern Asian world, because sometimes we go for more paperwork, which is very important, but less practical. So for me, it's more practical. I want people to feel and they have more confidence, because sometimes when you have too much formality, confidence is not there. So we give our best. So when we hire a chef or any young team, because we have mostly, some of them never work in a hotel.
Really?
Yeah, they work in a hotel, and it feels really powerful to give them the tools. But I always ask them to please give time, at least 6 months, 2 years, so they understand the growth is coming from inside. The out is only we are teaching how to guide, left and right and setting the table. But when you understand from the core inside, and I think they shine anywhere in the world. So this is what we do.
Yeah, and I've experienced that when Lee and I have met members of your staff. They have something, a little inner something about how they connect with you. And this is a podcast on inspiring leadership. And our friend General Himalaya Thapa, who's been on the podcast himself, he said, you want Dorje on this podcast because he is an inspiring leader. He brings on his staff, develops them. And we've seen that firsthand. So what is it you've learned as you've traveled the world? Because you've worked all over the world, and I'd love to hear where you've worked, about leadership that you've then put into your people, because you've really brought it into yourself to lead by example. What are the countries you've been in, firstly? Where have you been?
I've been to Canada, I've been to England, been to Australia, been to Thailand, been to India, been to United States of America. So.
And you just came back from Vietnam, didn't you?
Yes,
yeah.
Yes. And things have changed, especially from 90s, because I think I feel very lucky, grateful. I think first movement was happened in the 60s and 70s, and I was born in 70s. And I think Thailand, India, Nepal, maybe some part in Europe, like Turkey, Afghanistan, the movement was coming from Europe and America, and that wave come all the way here. So here I am. Today is because of tourism. Also, I would say hippie movement from 70s, and it's absolutely, truly, I feel blessing, because I don't know if you know this. About 20 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, we used to have a bus, double-deck bus coming from London to Kathmandu.
Really?
Yeah, traveling for 2 months.
Wow.
On a bus journey, and from Kathmandu to London.
Yeah.
By India, Turkey, and end up in London. So it was wonderful to connect with these wonderful people.
Yeah. Well, I'm really interested in this idea of the CEO's Compass. We've written a book recently called The CEO's Compass, How to Navigate Your Team Through Turbulent Times. And right now in Nepal, you've had quite a lot of turbulence. You've had challenges. Many years ago there was an earthquake and you recovered from that, and then there's been some protests, and then there's been some bad weather, but you have led your team through that. And the thing that struck us, if you went with what the press said, terrible, this is when we've come to the country, we spoke to General Himalaya before we came, and the news doesn't report what's really going on in the country. It sensationalizes it. It makes it scary and fearful. We've come here. This is so tranquil, so peaceful, and you can make the most of it. In the compass, the CEO's Compass, we talk about the 8 components, but 3 really strike with what you told us. MQ, moral quotient, which I'll come back to. PQ, purpose quotient, an LQ legacy quotient. Let's begin with moral quotient. The values as a leader, as an entrepreneur, and you've done many different things, your values and your principles, what you will do and what you won't do. Because it's grounded in Vipassana, and you're also your Hindu faith, and also in Buddhist faith. So that's a rare mix as a leader to have that as your moral true north. Tell us a little bit about that.
So, including September 8th uprising with this new Gen G, this is maybe 7th or 8th time we have fallen apart. And especially now, maybe because of the age, I feel very calm. I'm observing more the situation. But for me, what has happened in 7th, 8th time, the hard time was a blockade after earthquake.
Yeah.
There was earthquake strike. We didn't know what's happening. But after a month or two, we had a blockade between India and Nepal.
Right.
This was a very, very strong lesson that our youth have to learn, and I have to learn, we have to learn. And sometimes I feel like we are not learning because we fell many times down and we come up. But we have to be prepared. And my message to the youth and for leader is, especially now, what is happening in Nepal is we are not encouraging our youth to work. I don't want to really talk about corruption, but I think corruption is the problem anywhere in the world, also here. So the difference is now youth, we're exposed to social media very fast, and only 10, 15 years. This was not before.
Yeah.
So I think we are seeing too fast, and they try to send us a message. We are not listening to them. Yeah. I think we are not listening, and we have to listen because they are the future.
And that is a great skill of any inspiring leader. When we wrote the book, The CEO's Compass, time and again, different leaders talked about the skill for you as a leader for listening. And you just highlighted it again. What do you do to listen to your own staff? How do you do that?
So some of the technique I use here is because of youth. They're seeing too many things too fast. Now, I think in the future, maybe, we're talking about this country and that country, but it's becoming very small. Australia, England, America, anything is in our hand now. And there is so many beautiful things we can learn also. But while we are seeing this in hand, there is one gap, especially for the youth, So this gap is, they're sleeping last night. You wake up this morning, in 24 hours, they want to be rich without getting on the field, without getting their hand dirty. So this is the gap. So how I train how I try to connect with them is sometimes, number one, breathe. Everything what we see on the television or social media is not true. We judge too fast. Any country, I would say, is not only Nepal, and especially for youth. And also other one, the ice try to break here in Nepal youth is, we are ashamed to work. We put tag, we put level. You should not do this, we should not do that. And we judge other people, everybody should fix our problem. So when I encourage them, it's like, you want a change to happen, start from you, us. And sometimes I show them. Example, sometimes when they walk in, I tell them to put their ego on the mat that you put on the floor. I say, swipe there, now you come up. It's a little thing. And we learn to respect, no blaming, because we blame too much. We blame leaders sometimes, and they're our leaders. They're not different, leaders, and we're always expecting somebody should do something. So for me, it took, when I was 33 or 34, I realized nobody's going to do anything for you. You want something, you have to do.
That is a really good point, because as we've been talking, you've clearly worked very hard. Even I would describe yourself as a bit of a workaholic, like myself and my wife, because you've been so committed to something. So firstly, we've talked about your values and the way you teach and bring on others. So this creating an alumni of people who've worked in Dorje's resort and spa. or even when you were down at
Moondance.
Moondance, which we went to last night with Himalaya, remembering old times, because that was really a very successful restaurant right down by the lakeside. So going from your values to next, what gives your life meaning and purpose, and how do you help these younger generation or any of your staff who work there to have a sense of meaning and purpose in the work they do? What do you find?
So coming from restaurant background and tourism background for 35 years, I'm also learning something new here, which I did not learn in Lakeside for 30 years. It took me 16 months to realize here. So a lot of places in the world, sometimes we try to give something what we cannot. So I always explain to my team when we train, number one is don't run after money. Number two, offer only what you can. Example, in tourism in Nepal, if your room is not ready or if your product is not ready, don't try to sell it. But we try to sell it. You know, this happened, and this is the beauty about also Asia, Nepal, India, maybe someplace in Thailand, but I did not experience this in Vietnam. But we are learning by doing. So when we train, me and my team, especially tourism, number one goal is be honest, because there is no gap between the person who's paying money and you, which we think like a social media. And other one is just be a natural. Our goal here is to be natural, because we do a mistake, we don't know how to think, we don't know things to do properly. And I always say it's okay to do a mistake, but be natural, calm, relax. In case when we serve, if we break the glass, if we broke the plate, it's okay, but just say sorry so people can hear. So these are the very basic things when we do the training.
Yeah, and I've experienced that with your staff. This morning, breakfast, the lady who came in, teas and coffees, she made eye contact with us. She really connected to us. So I felt her presence. And that's something that I've felt with you when Himalaya introduced us to you. You have some really a rich mixture as a leader, as we say, of the Vipassana, the Hindu and the Buddhist. But I think it's now the third area. We've talked about meaning, we've talked about legacy, we've talked about moral quotient, we've talked about creating meaning and purpose, and now legacy. You want to connect with the community, with Nepal when people come here. What does it mean to you to create a legacy? What would you like to leave as a leader who set up a hotel and resort here, Dorje's Resort and Spa? What legacy do you want to leave?
For the youth and for my country and the people, I always said my goal is not to be the richest person in Pokhara or Nepal. My goal is to stay humble. I want people to like me, but obviously there is always somebody who people don't like when we do the work. But when I train young people is wherever you go, try to do good. So I don't mean only in a resort or in a restaurant. We are on this earth. So my inner value, how I count is, I have a lot of young chefs. My team left to Australia, Canada, Cyprus, Romania, Indonesia, mostly Dubai. I always say go with technique. And number one mantra, there is no shortcut in life.
No shortcut in life.
No shortcut, because sometimes they think, the shortcut is the fastest way. There is no shortcut of knowledge. And sometimes listen from inside. Not just to listen because you want to listen. And bring and practice. There is a gap. Sometimes we talk, we see, we don't practice. Practice means not one time. You have to practice many times. And in here, when I say practice, I use the technique of Vipassana. So this is what I've been practicing many years in
And
Moondance.
just to explain to others who are listening, Vipassana is something that I was introduced to first by General Himalaya Thapa to do the 11-day Buddhist Vipassana retreat, silent Buddhist Vipassana retreat. It's been part of your life, and you've been on that 11, 12-day retreat how many times? 4 times?
4. I did a full course. Yes.
And I can sense it in you and how you, as a leader, you're interested in connecting with your customers, but also there's a deeply grounded, I don't know, it's almost like, remember as a child there was those little toys that you push it and it wobbles back and forth. The base is so solid that even then knocked over, it comes back upright. I feel that's like you, whatever we throw at you, you're grounded enough that you'll bounce back. And I think as leaders we need to have that we don't start screaming and shouting at the staff when things don't work out. If the glass is broken, as you say, okay, I'm sorry, let me just tidy this up. I made a mistake, I'll clean it up. I think too many people pretend that there isn't a problem. A friend of mine, Jeff Niswitz, who's been on the podcast as well, talks about 10 words, 3 phrases that I see used by you, that you're happy to say, I was wrong, I don't know, and I need some help. I was wrong, I don't know, and I need some help. And I see you very comfortable with that you're not trying to be perfect. Yes, you want to have a successful hotel and spa here in Dorje, but you're trying to create something bigger than just making money. That's just my sense with you. What thoughts do you have?
So when I encourage people, sorry is a very easy word, but to feel sorry is different. So when we do a mistake, some mistake can really hurt you. I explain to them because when we talk about a mistake, sometimes we don't know how to cross the road. We have a staff here when they come. So we have to really train their mind, make them strong. When we say make them strong so they can understand, sometimes we don't tolerate. We have to learn, especially now in 21st century for the young people, we really have to teach them how to tolerate. We have a different races, we have a different people. Even in Nepal, we have 100 of different background people. My background is different because I left my home village at the age of 11.
11.
Otherwise, I cannot achieve this. I have seen in a very young age with my eyes maybe that things that I should not supposed to see. But now I realize this makes me strong. And especially when I met Himalayan Thapa Sir a long time back, I think this is 27 years.
27 years you've known him, yeah.
Yeah, and my great honor, there are a few, I call Jarsab, Journal, Army Connection. There is me and a few other friends here, and we have a wonderful connection.
And you're you're part of the veterans now, you got the hat.
Thank you. And also, our goal is, anywhere in the world, we need a discipline. Army have a discipline. Army have a trained mind. We as a public, we have no trained mind. This is very dangerous. So for me, I was very lucky. When I went to Vipassana, I did 4 courses. I have trained my mind a little bit. It's not about how many times you did, but at least I got a chance to see there's a difference between trained mind and untrained mind. And I think when we have too many untrained mind, this can be very harmful for society. So I always tell my team whenever I do training, and I do sharing more than training, it's like, number 1, learn to observe. Not only yourself, also your teammate. Because sometimes we work for 2 years and we don't know each other. We may know the name, we may know the size or color, but deep inside we don't share, because sharing, it take courage. Sharing, it take guts. Sharing is not for everyone because we are not ready. Sharing, I think we have to be comfortable. So sometimes when I do sharing, we end up crying. And for me, when I do sharing, I don't put job first because they're very fragile. We are very fragile. We are not strong enough to deal human. So when things go wrong, I said, okay, relax first. So last 15 years, especially now, is easy for me because I use the Vipassana of a technique. I always try to play fair game. It has to be win, win, and win.
Yeah.
If you want loss, not happy.
Yeah.
And when this not happy, this carry out in the world, and it come back here. Not only resort, I would say in Nepal, I would say to the world. So when I train them, we have to be happy. We have to make sure everything's clear, at least in mind. It's okay, some might win, some might lose, but we have to sort out the business, at least inside our heart.
No, I think it's really struck me, having done the Vipassana and also studied a bit of Buddhism and Hindu teachings, that this sense of you can't control what other people do, but you can control your own thoughts and you can control the actions that you decide to take. And I think with Vipassana, this whole idea of breathing and being grounded and being stable enough to cope with whatever, being like almost like a palm tree or that sways in the wind but doesn't break, it bends but doesn't break. Which brings me on to one of the other elements of the CEO's compass, which is resilience. You have been through a lot of things in your life, and I'm going to get in a moment you to tell us in a short story, because there's so much of life to share, your life story and how it shaped the leader you are today. But I just want to bring up one of the points you made, which I thought was so good, this idea of trust between members of your team that you lead. So a leader has to generate mutual trust among the team, and that requires people to share some openness and some vulnerability. Even while we were here in Nepal with General Himalaya Thapa, who I've known for 45 years, he began to share some things about his life and his family, which I didn't know about from before. And that makes me respect and trust him even more. Not think less of him, but actually to think more of him. And I think if members of staff, and Lee and I do an exercise with people around sharing the lifeline of your story, of your life story, the highs and the lows, and how it shaped who you are today. And that works really well for building trust in teams. And clearly you're already doing something similar to that with your staff, that by taking the mask off and by being appropriately vulnerable, people trust each other more, and therefore they do a better job in the case of a hotel and a spa, looking after your customers. So it really excited me that you are doing much of what we've found from other leaders, the 400 that we've interviewed so far. Back to your life story, your origin story that shaped the leader and the entrepreneur you are today. How did it begin?
It's a long story. I left my home village at the age of 11. I come to Kathmandu. I had a chance to work with a wonderful family. I work as a babysitter, maybe for a year or two. Then things didn't work out there. So inside, I believe there is always divine's guiding, but unknown is the scary part. Then I end up in Kathmandu in my young age.
Pause, let's go back a bit, because I don't want to go too detailed into it, but you had a really bad experience as a babysitter. You were not treated well at all. What has that taught you? You thought you were going to be working with some good people, but they actually mistreated you. What did you learn that shaped you as the leader you are today?
I was basically abused. And when you are young, you don't know what is abuse. You know something is not right, but you don't know. You only know it's not very good feelings. So my ex-boss, she physically abused or more verbal abuse. I decided to walk out, but I was so young, I was so naughty, I think, myself, that I don't want to tolerate that anymore. I walk out, and some gentlemen come and ask in my life, do you want to work? Because I was not working for maybe 3 weeks.
Right.
And just playing around with the friends. Friends are not really my friends, but some of the groups,
Yeah.
When you're young, Kathmandu.
And you were 11 and 12 at this age?
Yeah, I would say maybe 11 and a half, maybe 12 already then. Then I said yes. So I went to work in a restaurant. I worked as a dishwasher for 1 month. And this gentleman who brought me in Pokhara, he said, you're too nice to work. This is the wrong place for you. Come out. You're so lively. You like talking. You're a people person. This is not the place.
So even at 12, you're a people person.
I didn't realize that, but he did.
He spotted it.
Yeah.
But isn't that a lesson though for leaders who are listening to this around the world? Use your skills as a leader, particularly to spot talent and to spot potential in someone, even at the age of 12. How you could get because that person changed your life, didn't they?
Yes, and I worked as a waiter for 9 years.
9 years.
9 months
9
in
months.
Kathmandu, and something has happened with his life. He said, "Let's go to Pokhara." So I came to Pokhara. I'm talking about 1985, 86, between 85 and 86. I arrived here 4 o'clock in the morning by night bus, and this was like a village. There was nothing.
And I actually came to visit Pokhara in about that same time, and I remember coming on the bus on the roof with my friends. We were coming trekking, and it was pretty basic, wasn't it, here in Pokhara? There was nothing fancy. I mean, it was a very basic town. It wasn't even a city then, was it?
Yeah, it was a village.
Yeah.
Because in the season we used to have no cheese, no butter, no lot of things. So we have gained all this thing, and also my education background is like what I did was basically the God has given me wisdom, power, or light, whatever. Is my grateful and my honor, so I can spark in the world. I studied 3-4 years in village, and that's it. But I study people for last 40 years.
Yes.
If I cannot study people, you cannot run this place.
Stay with that thought. That's a really important one that I want people who are listening to this to realize, that as a leader, your job must be to study human behavior, people, how to get the best out of them. We see a lot of politicians who are getting the worst out of people and putting people to be polarized and attacking each other and talking about the other, who might be an immigrant or someone else or someone less than, or Democrats or Republicans. But you've got to really study people, and that's what you did for 40 years. Sorry, carry on. I just wanted to really raise that point.
So when we say study, it's like we have to understand the human mind. There is a Chinese character, there is an Indian character, there is a Nepali character, there is a European character, and among the Europe there is a many different characters. So when we're talking about tourism, when we're talking about a food, very simple thing. Number one, give what people like, not what you like. This is the technique.
Give people what they like.
Yeah, and also the place. Give what people like, not what you like. And sometimes very, very basic thing we cannot give to people, but we want their money. And I think this is not possible. So when I say study people, it's like I have a big influence of British sense of humor, Nepali sense of humor, English sense of humor. We have a sense of humor. To understand the humor, you have to understand the people. You have to understand the people, not only as a customer. We are the customer, but you have to understand your youth. We have to listen. Not only listen through our ears, we have to listen through our guts.
Yes, that's interesting.
Then we can make world better place.
What are you sort of picking up from people in your gut?
You have to feel.
Yeah, you got, and that's part of your training, isn't it, with Vipassana, that you're picking up intuitively what's going on. And I think it's very interesting with the journey that you went on, and we're going to go back to your life story in a minute, and how you're using that as lessons as a leader to bring on the best leadership in others. Because leadership isn't a position. You can be the person who's a waiter for 9 months, as you were, or Washington. You can still lead from that position, that you choose to proactively do things. I think that's very important. So carry on with the story. So you'd been doing clean the dishes. Then you were doing the waiting. You came to Pokhara with the boss. What happened then?
Then my teen start. So when your teen start, then I end up in a relationship. And
How old were you when you got into this relationship?
21.
21.
I was 21 and I become father at the age of 24.
Wow. Yeah.
And I didn't really know what was happening.
Yeah.
This was a big eye opener, maybe third eye opener for me. And also I end up in a abusive relationship for many years. And I become a different human being. when we say abuse, less physical abuse, more verbal abuse, then the dark world start.
That must have been tough.
You cannot look at the sun, you cannot look at the people, you don't want to go out, a lot of things. But I, as a young man, I also blame. There's always two to tangle.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know, I was very good at blaming, and you're sorry, poor me, I'm not good enough, I cannot do it. It's not a very good state of mind for anybody. And now I know many people go through. So
stay with this one for a moment. Firstly, I'm sorry that you went through such a tough time. And people talk about, it was a comment of my mother before she died, don't be the victim, be the victor. And get more control over your life, accept your responsibility, but also what are you going to do about the situation you're in? And I think people come across this a lot where they blame everybody else. And particularly we talk about some of the younger people today, they're going, well, these politicians are wrong and these people are wrong. What are they going to do for me? You clearly didn't do that, but you did for a while and it got you quite depressed. I remember us talking about this. How did you switch things around where you stopped being the victim and you started to do something about it rather than just going, poor me?
the hardest for me was at the time, because there is always somebody. It will be nice if somebody would guide, but at the time when it's too dark, you cannot see the light at the end of tunnel. It was too dark. So the hardest thing for me was somebody who you make a love, somebody who is your person, become the worst enemy of the planet. At that time, for me, this was very hard to convince and come out. So I come out, I become a free, but I realized after coming out, I was 33 or 34, I completely realized, don't expect anything from no one.
And just going back a little bit, when you describe coming out, there's an expression in England, coming out, which means that you say you're gay or you're something else. You didn't mean that. What you meant was you came out of the relationship.
I come out of the relationship. I come up through divorce.
Yeah.
Day I got a divorce, I think I become very powerful person on planet.
Did you find everything changed for you?
I was like, what happened when you chain the dog for like 20 years or 15 years and you let it free? I was wild. Wild in the sense free. Yeah. I feel very light. So for me,
So the depression went, because you were quite depressed, weren't you, at that time?
2 times.
2 times. And was it? And did that push you close to the edge of suicide, or just very low?
My depression was never. I drink. I didn't really care about life. Just drink, and you don't see life to live.
No.
And when I come out, I ask the question, I'm not ready to die. There is something I must do, something very beautiful. But what?
And staying with that, a lot of people use alcohol as a crutch when they're sad or lonely or lost or depressed. How have you managed alcohol since then? Do you drink at all? I mean, I've given up drink, but I just wonder what you've done. Do you manage it? Do you now, it's not something you lean on, but it's something you enjoy? How do you cope with alcohol now?
I take very little sometimes, but alcohol, I'm strong enough now. I'm convinced. I listen to my body. Vipassana tools I use. And
Vipassana didn't allow us to drink,
no,
of course. No,
100% pure, and especially with the mind. So basically, anything what hurts, I don't do it. And when I say expressing, I become different is when I build a resort, is also as a man, you're expressing your energy, your sadness, your anger, your love, everything. Because we as a man, I realize, we as a human being, I would say, we need something to take care. And I got a new life, not only with the resort. 10 years ago, I got married.
Congratulations. I relate to that because I have also remarried. And for those people listening, because not everybody's watching this on YouTube, we are actually in the resort. We're surrounded by beautiful greenery. the lovely arrangements of the hotel. We're out on the balcony, looking out towards the lake of Pokhara, and it's a gorgeous setting. So, you've put heart, body, and soul of all your experience into this hotel, this hotel and spa. What is it that you would say to other leaders when they're trying to create their vision? Because you had a vision of how this was going to be. It was just a field. You owned the field 20 years ago, about 2.5 acres, and you've created this phenomenal hotel and spa. But how did you imagine it, turning it from a vision into something that's really happened? Isn't that exciting?
It is.
What's your advice to others who want to do this?
Well, my advice to the leaders of the world, but especially in Nepal, whenever you start the project, please don't take a shortcut.
Yeah.
It's not overnight, and don't try to do it just because you want to do it. Starting is very easy, but the finish is very difficult, like anywhere in the world. And also, we need export. I had 2-3 people helping, including my wife, and I have 2 other gentlemen who help me, and of course myself, and there is a team. But what I have learned through the resort is something I never learned before. When I build a cafe and restaurant, because this is a completely different game. And what we do is, when we do the work, in the middle we give up. Number 1, you're short with money. Number 2, you try to change your game. And that's where the technique you become failure, especially in this part of the world.
So let me just stay with that, playing it back. What you've shared just there, but also in the conversation we've had, you have to have this vision about what you're going to do with your business as a leader, how you're going to set it up. So you have to have a vision. And then you've got to persevere with it, because there will be problems on the way. And as anybody knows who's built anything, it always costs twice as much and it takes twice as long. Any project, and you haven't got the right people to do the plumbing or the electricals or maybe the right kind of builders. But you finishing the job is much harder than starting it, and it's the perseverance to get the little things right. And I noticed the little things in this hotel. We worked with one of our guests was Horst Schulze, who started the Ritz-Carlton hotels, and his book was Excellence Wins, about customer service, but about the little things that people notice. What is it important to you about getting the little things right when you've done your resort and spa here, Dorje?
Well, this is my first hotel. Yeah. Number 1, I never tell myself I'm a hoteler, but when I tell my team, if our room is not ready, don't try to sell it just because money is coming. Yeah. You really have to be ready. And especially in a hotel, what I found is the challenging part here is like example of Wi-Fi,
yes,
water, hot and cold, very basic thing. So there's 2 rules I set up for my housekeeping. Number 1, if the bed is not clean, the AC is not working, if you are not ready, let's not sell. This is number 1 rule, because sometimes we do a little bit of I would say our Asian style. We can do it, maybe this will get by, but no. So this is number 1 rule. And also little thing, our goal is whatever available here, because sometimes being in Nepal or being in mountain, I think maybe even harder. We show something on a picture, which in a reality, when you reach there, is not there. I practice not to do that. For me, whatever I can give, everything is black or white. So this is what I encourage people, and this is how you say in English, more moral.
Yes.
Because otherwise, sometimes we try to do business. I want to bring your money to my account, but it has to be morally.
Well, I think this is a really important point for leaders everywhere, that as a leader, what you say has got to reflect what people experience, that they're going to trust what you do, your behavior, how you act as a leader, not what you say. This is how we behave. And we see this with politicians. We should behave like this. And then there's a lot of corruption going on. They go, oh, no, it's not really me. So I think between your words and your action, there's got to be this link. And I do love the point you make. And I think I've stayed in some other lovely hotels, but you do find that sometimes the Wi-Fi isn't working, or the hot water doesn't properly work. And the fact that you've checked all that out first, and you're not going to sell the room unless it is right, because it's a trust contract, not only between you and your staff, but it's between your staff and the clients, the customers you have in your hotel. I think for any leaders, if you're selling a product or a service, if they don't get the service that you said you're going to give them, that affects your brand, it affects your reviews on TripAdvisor. I'm going to give you a 5-star for this place, I can tell you. But that reputation is very important, particularly in social media where the word spreads really quickly, and you are damaged if your words don't match what they experience. What would you think?
So this is the technique we realize in my life, my story. I work for 150 rupees a month.
Wow. Now 150 rupees a month in pounds, I'm just trying to equivalent. That's like,
it's a less than a pound.
But less than a pound a month.
And this was 43 years ago.
Wow.
So now in my life story, here for Dorje Suite, we have charged 100,000 rupees, 102 or 98,000 rupees. So, but my point is, before I worked for someone else, now I still work for someone else. I'm doing business now, but when I tell my team, charging 100,000 rupees, charging 1,200, 1,000 or $1,500, I realize it's not a big of deal. The point is, what we realize here is, people pay 100,000 rupee. When they leave the hotel, they leave behind the gate. Are they gonna come back?
Yeah.
This is the technique that I realize and learn. Yeah. Because charging, you can say the number. I have heard there's so many beautiful hotels charge couple $1,000 this, couple $1,000 that, and I don't compare with that. I don't go after that. Or we don't go after that. Our goal is like, what can we do? It has to be the value.
Yeah.
Feelings.
Yeah.
And without, especially, buttering up. Yeah, like I want something. Space. Because we are learning now these days, space is luxury.
Yeah.
Giving what people want. When you want to use. You may not use it. So in my story, this is what I realized. And especially for the youth, this is the technique I use. When money come, don't act cocky. This is very dangerous. I think anywhere in the world, but especially in Nepal, money and power. We think we are a different person because we have money and position. Yeah. And I always said, I'm not different. I practice. Every day I practice. Sometimes I talk to myself. I put my hand in my heart and I practice gratitude. And I always said, I'm not important. They're important. I'm here because of them. Yeah. But they're also here because of me. So it's a mutual. Yeah. And also for client. And we always said, we have to make sure we treat. And when we say treat, I'm talking about the people who do the dishes, people who do the mopping. Their heart is very important. Not only, what do you say? Maybe the split personality is not the word, but we have a double personality. We see something, then we see something is very important. So our goal is we have to be very careful that everybody's important.
Yes. I love, let me just sort of play back some of the things that's come to mind. And I just wonder if we could just move this umbrella around a little bit, just so we keep you out of the sun, this red hot Himalayan sun that we've got at the moment. It's rather nice. Thank you very much. I see this in your staff, that there is the words respect and dignity. And someone said to Lee and myself once that respect has to be earned. You've got to earn respect, and people then treat you with it. But dignity, everybody's born with dignity, whether you're cleaning dishes or whether you're owning a business. Everybody is born with dignity. Treat them well, and they will respond well to you. And I think time and again, leaders sort of think, do you know who I am? I'm very important. I'm the CEO. I expect to be treated this way. Or you get the problem with, we've spoilt our children, the Gen Zs that we've seen kick off, and they go, I'm entitled to this. I deserve this. I want better. They should do this. That, or me. What about me? Okay, with entitlement comes responsibility. It's a two-way thing. You've also got a responsibility, as you say, to work hard. And I think time and again, the successful, inspiring leaders have this attitude of real hard work. I mean, it just doesn't come overnight success. You know, it took me 40 years to become an overnight success. And they don't seem to think that. They look at an Instagram famous person who's got millions of rupees and millions of dollars and pounds, and they go, I want to be like that. Tonight, tomorrow I want to be that person. And here I am, I'll do some TikTok pictures and I'll suddenly become famous. It doesn't work that way. Or it does for a couple of people, but they think that's how life is, and it's not. But I think I'd love you to talk a bit about how you, as a leader, create a healthy culture in an organization. So what would be your advice? You've created a nice healthy culture with dignity and respect and the way you treat people and mutual trust. What's your advice to others listening about, as leaders, how they create what people call psychological safety? You've been abused. We've known many people who've been through that. How do you create an environment where people feel safe to give their best? And what's your tip?
Nepal, working hard is no problem. The problem is working smart.
Yeah.
This is a problem. You know, sometimes I always say, I think our brain is only 22 grams, but it's very difficult to use. It's the thinking style has to change. And the other is we have to learn to accept. We have different colors. We have a different race, which we are not accepting. And this is the problem. So when I talk, we have a different background. Example, I'm Tamang, there is Rai, there is Limbu, there is Chetri, there is Brahman, there is Rana, everybody. And schooling is different. But in our society, sometimes from the childhood, we only say no, 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 no. So many years we put the no in our hard disk. And suddenly when we go out, we are not comfortable. We don't have confidence. And for me, when I train, when I do sharing, number one, learn to relax. Don't get nervous because we are human. And working hard in the sense sometimes the comfort zone. I have some team here. They're happy to break this size of a house or stone. And they know how to break because you need a skill to break the stone, but they're not comfortable to keep clean swimming pool because it take work every day a little bit. Sometimes this is harder. So the comfort zone is the problem. I'm a waiter. I'm going to stay waiter for 15 years, but after waiter, if you have to do swimming pool, I don't know how to use my skill. So I try to do multitask and work smart. So when you say work smart, in Nepal, more we need counseling than training. Training is very important, but in our case, we do counseling more because when we do counseling, they don't listen. And when they do the training, they show, but tomorrow we are repeating the same mantra. So what we do, more sharing. When we say counseling, sharing, telling about the problem, because what happened is it's been suppressed from their young age. So as a leader for the youth, what I say in Nepal, for my leader, what I want to tell is we have not trained our people. We are not training our people. We are training for somebody else's. We think we go to Australia, we go to England, we go to Dubai, the world is going to be better. Yes, maybe for some time. And when you're in other part of the world, they are missing Nepal. So my message is like we need to train. When we say train is we have to make their hand dirty.
Yeah.
Whether study, whether whatever you do, we need more skill. I think skill give us our family feeding.
Yeah.
Because otherwise sometimes we run after education, we have this degree, and suddenly we are 30, 40, then suddenly when I try to do business or whatever work, not everybody can do business, and they're missing. So I think for the world leaders, my message is any youth, we have to give them technique.
Yeah.
But the technique, compared to whatever their needs.
Yeah, and I really like all that you said. And somebody said to me once, it's KSA, knowledge, skills, and attitude, that as a leader you're trying to look for in the people you hire and the people you develop. And attitude is all. And you've shared really a philosophy how you run Dorje's Resort and Spa, which is around about your attitude, but the attitude of your staff as well. We're now at the coming to the final close, what I call the top tip. So would you kindly, this is a piece in its own right, would you kind of say who you are, what you're doing, the hotel you're running, where it is in the world, and give us a top leadership tip that wherever people are in the world, they go, oh, that's a useful tip, I could use that. So over to you.
My name is Dorje Lama. I have a 3 different name because my birth name is different, but I'm known as a Dorje Lama here. I've been in tourism business for last 35 years. Moondance is 35 years old. This is 2.5 years old. But I have a knowledge of tourism for last 40 years. Nepal, India, Thailand, and other part of the world. So whatever knowledge I practice in other part, I try to practice here. And my tips for the other the youth is no shortcut. Every day is a different day, and one like we fall apart 7 or 8 times. This shall pass. This will pass. But while we are going through, we are panic. We want a result right away, or we are panic, and panic kill us. Everything, either over drinking or either whatever overdoing when we are panic. So what I have learned is relax, observe, and deal with it. No running away with a problem. I see a lot of people running away with problem. For me, I had no choice. Only one way to get up is confrontation. This is what I have learned. And I know tomorrow maybe harder day will come, maybe brighter day will come, but our hope, back of our head, we have to put always positive. We'll rise again. This is my belief.
Dorje Lama, namaste. Thank you very much. We're recording here in Nepal, in your resort and spa, which is gorgeous. I wish you and your team every success, and thank you for making the stay for Lee and myself so enjoyable. Congratulations.
Thank you, Jonathan, Lee, and especially Himalaya and Jorsab. I want to thank you to connect, give me an opportunity to share my thoughts, and I take this as a blessings, so I can spread more to my people. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. Fantastic.